There are 3 of the scariest theme park accidents I've ever heard of. That lifts you up really high into the air and then it drops you down really fast. However, when their car got to the top, a cable snapped and became undone. This cable became wrapped around Caitlin's throat and feet. She was able to untangle the cord from around her neck, but she wasn't able to get to her feet before the ride dropped, and both of her feet were pulled off. They were able to attach one.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, unusual, unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, man. Comment down below. I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, Seekers. Let's do what we do best, Seekers. Stay with me, y'all. Yeah, I know what we do. Let's seek the truth.
This is the first bird to ever testify in court. On May 13, 2015, police arrive at a home near Sand Lake, Michigan. Inside, they find the bodies of Marty and Glenna Durham. Marty had been shot 5 times, and Glenna was shot twice in the head but survived. After making a full recovery, Glenna told police that somebody had broken into their home before shooting them and fleeing. Marty's 3 children were going through things inside of his home when they found a manila envelope. Just a couple weeks before Marty's death, he received a phone call from a family member. The family member told him he had seen Marty's home in the foreclosure section of the newspaper. Marty had no idea about this, as Glenna was the one that took over the bills, and she hid from him that they were facing foreclosure. That is, until Marty's parrot began reenacting the crime scene. The new owner noticed him arguing in 2 different voices, and the last thing he said was, and Marty's parrot was the key witness.
This is one of the scariest catfishing cases I have ever heard of, and if you have kids that are online, you should listen to this. This is Austin Lee Edwards, a Virginia cop who catfished a 15-year-old girl online before murdering her family and abducting her. Austin posed online as a 17-year-old boy and was trying to sexually extort the 15-year-old girl. But once he asked for a nude photo of her, she stopped all communication with him. On November 25th, Austin drove from Virginia, where he lived, to the girl's home in Riverside, California, and murdered her mom and grandparents before setting the house on fire. He then kidnapped the girl. While trying to flee, thankfully the girl was found physically uninjured, but the trauma she now has to face is horrendous. What's absolutely crazy to me is that prior to this, Austin was a cop with the Virginia State Police. Upon being hired there, he disclosed in his application that in 2016, he voluntarily checked himself into a mental health facility to receive treatment. And without looking into it at all, the Virginia State Police hired him anyway. But what they didn't know was that Austin was completely lying to them. It wasn't voluntary at all. In fact, in 2016, he was actually the VSP has since stated that they were not aware of this, but if they were, they would not have hired him. To top it off, Austin had quit the VSP in late October, and right before the murders, he was hired as a deputy with the Washington County Sheriff's Office. And according to them, they contacted the VSP during Austin's hiring process, and they mentioned none of that. Both departments have since stated that there was no indication that Austin would do this. There were so many opportunities for this to possibly have been stopped, but it wasn't. So please be careful and remember this story if you have kids that are online. You just really never know.
Would you kill your best friend for $9 million? In 2019, Denali Brimmer met a millionaire online named Tyler who offered her $9 million in exchange for evidence of her killing someone. Denali, who was 18 at the time, recruited 4 other teens to help her lure her friend Cynthia Hoffman to Thunderbird Falls in Alaska. Under the guise of a hiking trip, they then shot her in the back of the head and dumped her body in the river. She sent photos and videos of the crime but never received any money. That's because Tyler never existed. His real name was Darren Chill Miller, a 21-year-old from Indiana. He then blackmailed Denali into sexually assaulting young girls, which led to her arrest and the discovery of evidence on her phone linking her to Cynthia's murder. On February 15th, she pled guilty to first-degree murder and now faces up to 99 years in prison.
This could easily be one of the most haunting Polaroids I think I've ever seen. Now, the Polaroid was captured and then later developed after Jonah Sullivan went missing. It didn't take long for investigators, once they developed it, to realize the same thing that you're probably realizing. There's something in this picture. picture. Before we get into it, if you are a fan of all things chilling, mysterious, and unexplained, please go check out my podcast, Creep Time the Podcast. Go click the link in my bio and you can listen on Spotify or Apple. Now, to preface where the picture came from, Jonah was actually an explorer, and he would typically explore abandoned buildings, one of them being the Gershwin Schoolhouse, which was abandoned in the late 70s and no one knew why, and he went in 1999. After he never came back, police went searching where they found the Polaroid camera, but not him. The final picture caught on the camera was eventually developed, which showed someone in the background near the desks. If you zoom into the picture, you would see that Jonah was not alone in that room. An attempt would be made to digitally enhance the picture, and this was the result. One of the scariest lockdown photos I have ever seen in my life. On April 16, 2010, in Newcastle High School, they went into a lockdown procedure. Somebody comes over the intercom and they say that there are reports of a dangerous individual who's inside the school. When this happens, Angela Germain just stays in place. She stays in the girls' bathroom and she ends up sending this blurry photo to her friend Kelly. And she's like, I've got to stay in here, oh my god. What she didn't realize was that when she sent that picture, in the dimmed emergency lights of that bathroom, she had captured the intruder who was hiding behind the end stall. But by the time her friend even notices the face and tells teachers and police and they get to the bathroom, Angela was found stabbed more than 15 times, having later succumbed to those injuries. Because of Angela's final photo and 2 other witnesses in the school, they do make a composite sketch, but they would never find this person. The only thing that we have left is the final frame in her.
These are the scariest serial killers from each state, part 1. Up first is Nanny Doss from Alabama, also known as the Giggling Granny. She married 5 times and murdered 4 of her husbands, and the only one that survived was her first husband. She also poisoned 11 of her family members. Her first 2 victims were her children, who allegedly died from food poisoning. She got the nickname the Giggling Granny because she would always laugh at the crimes she committed. She killed 11 people and is definitely the scariest serial killer from Alabama.
Do you guys
Do that to your own kids? And the nickname, the Laughing Granny? Yeah. That sounds scary, for sure.
remember when that lady sued McDonald's because her coffee was too hot? The original Karen, if you will. Well, the actual story is actually really messed up. Stella Liebeck was an 81-year-old woman who pulled into a McDonald's drive-thru in Albuquerque to get coffee and other breakfast stuff with her grandson who was driving the car. He then pulled into a nearby parking lot so they could get all set up. The model of their car was too old to have cup holders, so Stella then put her coffee in between her thighs and removed the lid so that she could put sugar in. However, while doing this, the coffee then spilled onto her lap and Stella got extremely burned. And I'm not talking it was hot like it hurt her skin. She got legitimate 3rd-degree burns to her thighs, groin, and butt. She was wearing cotton sweatpants which fused to her skin, and then she had to be hospitalized for 8 days for skin grafting. After being released, she required in-home care for 3 weeks, as well as 2 years of physical rehabilitation and permanent disfigurement from the scarring. Yes, she knew her coffee was hot, but who would expect that it would be that dangerously hot? Naturally, Stella reached out to McDonald's to get them to pay for her medical bills, which were about $20,000. McDonald's then countered with just $800. Left with no other choice, Stella then hired a personal injury lawyer to sue McDonald's for compensation. During this injury lawsuit, they find out that McDonald's was requiring their stores to keep their coffee at a 180-degree Fahrenheit temperature. That is like scalding hot. It is close to boiling, which is 212, I think. Over the last 10 years, 700 customers had filed complaints against McDonald's in their customer service department about burns they received from their hot coffee. Stella won almost $3 million in her lawsuit, but sadly, this was not the end. Obviously, this looks bad for McDonald's, so then they retaliate by starting a PR campaign to paint Stella as the poster child for excessive lawsuits. Stella is ridiculed on late night shows, she becomes a pariah in Albuquerque, and she even has to move houses because the harassment is so bad. This poor 81-year-old woman. Stella died in August 2004, 10 years after the settlement was reached. Her daughter said that the injury occurring so late in her life, as well as the court proceedings and negative press against her, virtually destroyed her mother's quality of life. Rather than take ownership, they basically ruined this lady's life. And if you're wondering, no, McDonald's has not lowered the serving temperature of their coffee. Instead, they just have a lot more warnings telling you how hot it is, so then you can't file a lawsuit in case you get burned.
The Manson.
Really? What the? I thought she won Justice won out. I'm thinking they would at least change the coffee temperature, right? I never even knew that. 180 degrees, like you said, that's scalding. Crazy amount of things corporations do to keep their money.
Family. Charles Manson wanted to join a cult, but after looking over a few of them, he realized that they were a little bit too corrupt and crazy for his liking. So Charles would recruit over 100 people to join a cult of his creation, and this cult would be called the Manson family. Things would start out rather normal for the cult until one day on August 8th, 1969, Charles would order 4 of his members to go to the Hollywood Hills and kill actress Sharon Tate. He directed his followers to do it in the most brutal way possible. Sharon Tate was actually the spouse of very well-known director Roman Polanski, and she was carrying his child at the time. The 4 would break into the house and murder her along with 4 other people that were nearby. But the madness didn't end there. The very next day, a grocery store worker and his wife would also be killed by the Manson family. But thankfully, though, the madness would end there because a few days later, Charles Manson, along with a few other members of the Manson family, would be arrested and sentenced to life in prison. It's a very wild case, but
this is the scariest video on the internet. This is Joseph D'Angelo Jr., who's also known as the original Night Stalker. He is an American serial killer who is also formerly a police officer who's been indicted on at least 13 murders, 120 robberies, and over 50 assaults on women. Listen how crazy this is. He would break into a house, tie the couple up, and he would take the male victim, put plates on top of the male victim, and would tell him that if any plate dropped that he would kill both of them. So now the male victim is laying down on his stomach, and obviously he's scared and shaking, so eventually one of the plates are gonna fall anyway. Even creepier than that, if he found a woman that he wanted to assault, he would call the home phone before and after the incident took place. And the video you are going to hear is exactly that. This is from one of the victim's answering machines in the 1980s. After listening to this, I can honestly say,
Do you ever feel sometimes like you might be a witch? Or be a descendant of the Salem witches? If so, take this witch test and see. Yes, you heard me right. During the Salem witch trials, there were witch tests that were given to the accused. If they failed, they were imprisoned or worse. One way they would see if you were a witch was the skin test, which wasn't much of a test. It just consisted of authorities looking over the accused to see if they had any moles, freckles, birthmarks, scars. Back in the day, this was proof that you were a witch. Imagine being thrown in jail because you got a mole or a freckle. These people were unhinged.
Yeah.
The next test was the prayer test, which accused were made to recite prayers or selection of scripture from memory. If they made any kind of error while they were reciting, or heaven forbid forgot a part of the scripture, we got a witch on our hands. Another terrifying exam was the swimming and dunking test. Accused witches were bound at the wrists and ankles and dropped into a body of water. If they floated, they were guilty. If they sank, they were innocent. But, obviously, no longer with us. And I saved the worst for last, which was the witch cake test. This was where an accused witch was forced to bake a cake with her own urine in it, and then forced to feed it to a dog. And if the dog had any adverse side effects after eating the cake, she was a witch. I told you. Unhinged. I can only speak for myself here, but I wouldn't pass. I got quite a few freckles, and I've been known to forget some scripture now and then. If you want to hear more about these tests and all about the Salem witch trials, check out the most recent Avery After Dark podcast episode. I cover it all, as well as some haunted spots in Salem. Do you think that you would pass the witch test?
So I found something on the internet that most people have not seen. This is the only known photo of Cherie Glenn. This is a leaked booking photo. It's from like back in the 80s when she was one of the most famous cannibals in the US before she was caught by police. The reason the photo was leaked is because at the time, her appearance was considered so disturbing for most people that it was decided that they would conceal her booking photo as well as her interrogation footage. Even the nature of her crimes is not public information. That was also sealed in the affidavit, as it was described as highly grotesque and complex. Even today, there's not much public information that's known about where she's being held, and that leaked photo is the only image that has ever been seen of one of America's most terrifying women.
Now that it's summertime, here are 3 of the scariest theme park accidents I've ever heard of. These stories are ordered to get more intense as it goes on, so if the first story is too much for you, then you probably don't want to stick around for the third. On June 21st, 2007, 13-year-old Caitlin Lassiter went to Six Flags of Kentucky. While she was here, she decided to go on the Superman drop ride. This is the kind of ride that lifts you up really high into the air and then it drops you down really fast. However, when their car got to the top, a cable snapped and became undone. This cable became wrapped around Caitlin's throat and feet. She was able to untangle the cord from around her neck, but she wasn't able to get to her feet before the ride dropped, and both of her feet were pulled off. They were able to attach one, but she did end up becoming an amputee. On June 2nd, 2015, the Smiler roller coaster in the UK was having several problems, and one of the test cars got stuck in the middle of the track. However, the employees hadn't communicated with each other that they had added a fifth car, so everyone thought there were four. So when they saw all four cars at the station ready to go, they assumed that the test was done. They then loaded a car full of passengers and sent it down the track, not realizing that a car was already sitting stationary in the middle. The car with passengers inside rear-ended the empty car, resulting in serious injuries. The two girls that were sitting in the front of the car had to have their legs amputated, and the horror of this was all made worse because it took emergency services 4 to 5 hours to reach them as everybody was sitting mangled on this roller coaster. The Verrückt water slide was the world's tallest water slide in August 2016, where our third accident happened. This water slide had an extremely steep drop and then a hill, and 3 people would sit in each boat. The owner of the water park had actually self-insured this slide because it was too dangerous for any insurance company to take on. In August 2016, Caleb Schwab went to the water park with his family, and the very first ride he wanted to go on was Verrückt. Caleb sat in the front and was too lightweight to weigh it down, so the ride went airborne. Then everyone watched in horror as the front of the slide impacted the metal safety railing that arched over the top of the slide. He flew out of the raft but hit the netting so hard that he was, It was quick for Caleb, but not for the crowd, as they then had to watch the boat finish the ride as the water began to run red. A guest at the park physically restrained Caleb's mom so she couldn't walk over and see what happened. So the last image she has of her son is excited to go on the ride and stepping into the line.
See, that's why sometimes I'd be skeptical. I'm not a big roller coaster person, seekers. I just don't trust those machines.
Tonight, a mystery deepening in Nevada with human remains discovered at Lake Mead 4 times since May. A body in a barrel.
We're here finally tonight at Lake Mead. Lots of murders in this area. Hundreds of bodies in the lake.
These people who are searching for whatever they're searching for are like looking in the water for something.
What?
They pretend like...
Kill!
Is there a body that you want us to find?
Go right.
No! We were literally just talking about
these.
We're about to
find
a body.
Someone's out here at all time
No! Dude, they were hunting us down.
This abandoned asylum housed one of the most criminally insane serial killers in New England. Welcome to Connecticut Valley Hospital in Middletown, Connecticut. Opened in 1868, this was originally called the Connecticut General Hospital for the Insane. At its peak, the hospital housed 3,200 patients. Many patients here were subjected to extreme abuse and neglect, such as patients ingesting batteries, razors, and paper clips. One patient inserted pens into himself. But we're here to talk about murderer Amy Archer Gilligan. She was a nursing home proprietor and serial killer from Windsor, Connecticut. In 1919, she was charged guilty of murdering at least 5 people by poisoning them. One of her victims was her second husband, Michael. The others were residents of her nursing home. Studies and newfound evidence shows that she may have killed up to 60 people for life insurance money. She remained here until her death in 1962.
I can confidently tell you that this is one of the scariest places that I've ever been in my life. This is John Lowe. In 2014, he was 82 years old, and he shot and killed his partner and her daughter at his house in England. The house is known as the Keeper's Cottage Stud, and it was actually a puppy farm because John Lowe was a puppy farmer. After John murdered his partner and her daughter, apparently he told the police that they had been, quote, giving him shit all day, and he also told them that they needed to be put down. This is an incredibly disturbing story, and John Lowe actually died in prison a couple of years ago. But what happened to the house? Well, after the murders and the convictions and everything, the house became abandoned. The house itself was tucked way back into a forest in England down a long dark road, and back in 2019 I got to pay it a visit. Now, just telling you guys that this place was creepy doesn't do it justice, because this was definitely the heaviest feeling location I've ever visited as an urban explorer and paranormal investigator. I mean, the entire place was abandoned. All of the family's personal belongings were still in the home. There were shotgun shells that we found in the area. This is a picture that my friend Andrew and I took on the property at the time when we were filming our paranormal investigation. And we didn't know it at the time, but later we found out that this was John Lowe, the murderer's personal van. Now, inside of the house, while we were investigating, we had so many bizarre things happen. Electromagnetic spikes. There's no power there, obviously. We had a mirror fall off the wall downstairs while we were upstairs. And the whole time we were hearing noises, and we just felt like we were being watched. But that is not the reason why this place was so terrifying. While we were leaving and we took this photo, we were remarking how the woods around the house are just so creepy. It seemed like there could be a killer out there right then and there. And this is the craziest part. So we're walking back to our car. It's a long walk through the woods, like a 10-15 minute walk. And right when we get back to the car, keep in mind we're way deep in the forest, we see a flashlight in the woods that we had just come from, like the area where the murder house is. And my friend Andrew points at the flashlight and says, it looks like that person's running, because the flashlight was going like this. And as we watched it, the light began to grow, and we realized that somebody had followed us through the forest and was literally running at us at full speed. In the video, it was like something out of a horror movie. We hopped in the car quick, everybody was screaming, there were 4 people with us. And my friend Andrew tried to floor it, like floor his car, and he went forward a little bit, and he hit a log in the road. I'm not even shitting you. And so he's sitting there going, and we're all like, dude, you gotta go, you gotta go. And he's like, I can't move the damn car. We're like freaking out. And the flashlight guy is literally running at us at full speed. We can see him through the back window of the car. And just as the guy is about to reach our vehicle, he gets off the log and we speed off down the road. This was all captured on camera. It was just terrifying. But I actually just found out that they demolished this house a little while ago. Good riddance to it. That was an evil place. So much darkness there. But I just thought I would share this story because...
Like superpowers after an accident. Jason Padgett was a party animal who hated school and got terrible grades. But one day, 2 men savagely robbed and attacked Jason outside of a karaoke bar, leaving him with a severe concussion. The concussion caused him to become a mathematical genius and made him learn fractal geometry, which he had never been taught before. When Derek Amato was 39 years old, he hit his head after diving into a swimming pool and was diagnosed with a concussion and 35% hearing loss. After that, Derek began to see black and white keys in his head, and out of nowhere, he began to play the piano like an expert. Ben McMahon was in a car accident in 2015 and fell into a coma for a week. When he woke up, he could speak perfect Chinese, even though he had only learned the basics as a child. Tony Cicerio was struck by lightning after making a call in a phone booth. Within a couple of days, he was addicted to music, which he wasn't before. After trying the piano, he became a musical artist, composing his own music.
Man, they be like getting real out superpowers, bro.
Top 3 urban legends that turned out to be true. Part 1. Number 3. The sewer crocodile. One of the most famous urban legends is about a crocodile living in the city sewers. While it may sound unbelievable, there have been several cases where crocodiles have been found in sewer systems. For example, in 2010, a young crocodile was discovered in the sewers of New York City, confirming the truth behind this urban legend. Number 2. Spiders and bananas. According to this urban legend, venomous spiders frequently hide in imported banana bunches. This story has proven to be true on multiple occasions. In 2005, a British family found a venomous spider, known as the Brazilian wandering spider, in a bunch of bananas they purchased from a supermarket. This case confirmed that there is some truth to this urban legend. Number 1. The killer. Hiding in the back seat. This urban legend tells the story of a psychopathic killer who hides in the back seat of a person's car and attacks when they are distracted. While it's difficult to find specific cases that exactly match this legend, there have been incidents where dangerous individuals have gained access to the backseat of cars and attacked their occupants. These events have confirmed the importance of being cautious and checking the inside of one's car.
So I found these conspiracy theories that are so believable, they actually might be true.
Talk about it.
Number 1, studies show that cats understand human commands but don't care to follow them. Yeah, I don't like cats. I'm a dog kind of guy. Number 2, it is believed that when you die in a dream, You wake up because your brain doesn't know how to process the idea of what comes after death. Could be. I believe it. Number 3. Now this is scary. The reason Disney came out with a movie called Frozen was so that when you Googled Disney Frozen, you would get information about the movie and not the websites talking about Walt Disney's body being frozen. I mean, I did see an article about this that was published in 1995. I'm not sure if this is true or not, but I do believe it. This is where it gets freaky. Number 4. Mike Tyson's fight, Time Traveler. This fight was in 1995. If you look closely, you can see that could be a smartphone. In fact, it does look like a smartphone to me. There were no smartphones in 1995. This is how phones used to look like in 1995. They didn't have cameras. They barely had any color. But this thing double flashed, exactly like how an iPhone or an Android would take a picture. I don't know about time travel, but this is very interesting. I'd really like to know what this thing was. What's the creepiest conspiracy theory that you heard of?
I think the one that got to me was probably like the time travel joint from Mike Tyson, because he showed us a graphic of those phones. They did not match up at all. I don't know if that could have been like a different version of prototype or something, man, or a different type of camera, but I think that one got to me the most, man. Time travel.
The 3 most dangerous places you should never set foot. Number 3. The Hoia Baciu Forest, located in Romania, is often dubbed the Haunted Forest due to the many paranormal stories reported there. Many visitors have described feelings of anxiety, a sense of being watched, and some even claim to have seen ghostly apparitions. In addition to the inexplicable phenomena, the forest features oddly shaped trees and areas where vegetation doesn't grow at all, heightening its mysterious ambience. Number 2. The Chernobyl zone in Ukraine is the site of the biggest nuclear disaster in history. In 1986, a reactor at the nuclear power plant exploded, releasing significant amounts of radioactive material into the environment. Today, while some parts of the region are open for strictly controlled tours, others remain highly contaminated by radiation and can pose a severe health hazard. It's crucial to adhere to safety guidelines and not stray off marked paths. Number 1. The Valley of the Kings in Egypt, located on the west bank of the Nile near Luxor, is famous for its royal tombs dating back to ancient Egypt. While it's a popular tourist destination, it comes with risks. Beyond natural dangers like extreme heat and the risk of dehydration, there have been speculations and legends about the Pharaoh's curse, where those who disturb the Pharaoh's tombs would be cursed.
This might ruin your
I ain't going there.
But in the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, there's a really dark joke in there that a lot of people missed. In this scene, you can see the presidents of Mount Rushmore getting pied in the face. But pay attention to Abraham Lincoln. Unlike the other presidents, he gets pied in the back of the head, which is exactly how he was assassinated in life.
Oh, what? I never even picked up on that, man. These movies, man, they have hidden messages. When you're a kid, you just don't get it.
What is going on here? This robot is literally serving drinks at a bar at an event recently hosted by Elon Musk.
There you go.
Our robot.
Everybody, get pictures. In my good side, Optimus number 1. Robots are the future. How's it going, sir? What can I get you? You want a watermelon? Yeah. I can't convince you to get the robot? Yeah. Okay, I'll get you one. Just kidding.
No!
No, you're not going so far. There you go. Ice cold beverage.
Now, this robot created by Elon, which he named Optimus, isn't only capable of serving drinks. Apparently, it can do a lot more. Apparently, Optimus can dance and interact with people, and it can do things around the house like cleaning, cooking, mowing the lawn, taking out the garbage, walking your dogs, and also babysitting. I'm sorry, but if this robot can actually do all these things, then I don't see how people wouldn't want one. Tesla's vision for Optimus is so that people can integrate this robot in their everyday lives so that it can do things that we don't want to do or things that are just repetitive or dangerous. When I first saw this, I immediately thought about iRobot, which came out in 2004, which is funny because the director of iRobot recently accused Elon of copying his designs for his new Tesla products, and he tweeted this. Now, if you see a side-by-side, you can kind of see a resemblance. It's been said that Optimus would first be used internally at Tesla facilities, and then it will expand its productions for other companies, and then eventually for the general public. So it's possible that you can have one of these in your house by 2027. Now, the price for one of these is around 20 to 30K, and Elon mentioned that he is aiming to make it more affordable so that more people can buy it. But if Optimus can really cook, clean, and do my laundry, take my money, Elon. No, but seriously, would you guys actually drop this much money for this? Let me know.
I'll speak for me. No. Like, our robot was the blueprint. Didn't you not see what happened in that movie, man? The side-by-side comparisons. The designs, they too similar to me, bro. We seen how that game, they trying to rise up against us. No. I will not be getting that Tesla bot. No. I can't do that.
Conspiracy theory claims that the show was inspired by events that happened in a Bulgarian mental facility called La La Land. Children there were isolated from the others and placed in dark rooms. But apparently 4 of those children died on the same day, inspiring the Teletubbies. Lala apparently had facial disfigurement and was isolated for 5 years, and that inspired the Teletubby Lala. Toite was a deaf, facially disfigured kid who was tied to a fence outside and had gotten frostbitten from the cold. This inspired Tinky Winky. Donka, who was starved and was very, very sick, would lay in his own vomit for days, inspired Dipsy. And finally, Paulina, who had fell into a fire and was roasted alive, inspired Poe. But you won't believe the reason they were called the Teletubbies. You see, the children's main source of entertainment in their rooms were their TVs. They were as small as a small iPad. Sometimes when they heard their toys was going to be confiscated, they would hide them in their mouths. And they had just found out that the institution was going to get rid of the TVs. And they didn't want that, and they couldn't hide the TVs in their mouths. So one of them had the great idea to hide them in their stomachs, because that's the only place they could fit. Mind you, these kids are a little bit not all the way there. So they came up with a plan to rip their insides out in order to fit the TVs inside and hide them. They tried it, and the next morning, the caregiver walked in on all 4 children dead.
These are facts about Halloween that I
Teletubbies,
bet
Dark
you didn't
Origins.
know. Up first, Halloween is extremely old. Halloween is thought to have originated in 4000 BC, which means Halloween has been around for more than 6,000 years. This is extremely crazy, and I never knew it was this old. Up next, jack-o'-lanterns are actually named after a stingy man named Jack, who, because he tricked the devil several times, he was forbidden access to heaven and hell. He was then condemned to wander Earth, waving his lantern to lead people away from their paths. Next up is a pretty crazy statistic. Americans alone will buy more than 600 million pounds of candy on Halloween. I don't even know why there is this much candy available to buy. And the crazy thing is, I guarantee all this candy gets eaten.
Man, I didn't know Halloween was that old, bro. 6,000 years? How old are the other holidays? Before? He's sitting up.
This
strangest places in the world, part 1. Firstly, on top of a hill in Pennsylvania, some stones can be found that shouldn't actually be there, because there's no nearby high terrain where they could have originated. These are called the ringing rocks, because whenever something hits these stones, they make a strange ringing noise. Next is the petrifying well in England, where water flows from a rock and turns whatever it touches into stone. As you can see, people often leave items like hats, teddy bears, or even bicycles, which appear to have already been turned into stone. Some people believe there's a mystical power, but the scientific reason behind this is the unusually high mineral content in the water, which forms a hard mineral shell on any object it comes into contact with. And within a few months, everything essentially becomes a stone statue.
This is the power of time. These are the footprints of the monk Hachi. He stood in his temple for so many years that the floorboards warped around his feet. He prays over 3,000 times a day and always stands in the same place. This bronze arm was attached to a tree when it was just a baby. It was attached in 1968 and the tree actually grew around it. And today the arm is permanently attached to the tree. And this is a corner of a bike store that's been around for over 50 years. Customers park there every day and it's been wearing down ever since.
Hell in Different Religions, Part 2.
Time is powerful.
Buddhism. In Buddhism, after you die, you can be reborn into one of the 6 realms of reincarnation. Which realm you'll be put into depends on your actions in your previous life. The lowest realm possible is the realm of Naraka, which is hell. Now, there are different Narakas you can be put into. It just depends on how bad you were in your previous life. Each of these Narakas having vastly different punishments, and the climates of the different Narakas can range from incredibly cold to boiling hot. But the time spent in Naraka is never eternal. Once you've served your punishment, you'll be reborn once again. But the time one does spend in Naraka can be hundreds of millions of years, or well beyond that.
That long down there? Hundreds of millions of years?
The Muffin Man is actually a serial killer. You know the Muffin Man nursery rhyme, right? But did you know it was based on a dark, true story? 1 second. Chocolate chip. Tastes like your mama wanted. But yeah, the story is darker than you think. Because in the 1800s, there was a man named Frederick Thomas Linwood. And he would wait lurking in alleys, looking for his next victims. And they would always be kids. You see, he would kidnap them and unalive them, luring them in with muffins. I mean, what kid wouldn't want a tasty snack? When the townspeople got word of what was happening, they decided to come together and figure out a way to prevent this, to spread awareness amongst the kids and keep them safe, warning them about the Muffin Man, who was a danger on Drury Lane. You're walking past the alleyway, and the Muffin Man gets you. Your fourth act sees this and tries to rescue you. Let me know who it is and let me know if you think you'd be doomed or not. Anyways, he's one of the first documented serial killers in the world. And everyone still teaches this song to their kids, even children TV shows. And yet nobody knows that.
The Muffin Man? You know I know the Muffin Man because of Shaq. The Muffin Man? They found out that it really was a dark origins. The first documented, you know what, man? They put this stuff in our medias when we're kids and things, but like I said, we never notice it, man. Once you grow up, bro, you realize your childhood is very different.
You won't believe this little boy actually exists. This boy, Nanyo Sui from China, was born with glowing eyes. People were curious for why his eyes glow blue, so they ran a test on him. They put him in pitch black with cards and a note, and he read them perfectly. His eyes seem to have a genetic ability of cats and other nocturnal animals. Scientists have been a little skeptical, but people say he can see in full darkness perfectly, like a superhero.
Damn. He got night vision, bro.
In the year 2067, you'll have to pay for oxygen or suffocate to death. This movie is called 2067 and we have to talk about it. It's set in the future after climate change destroyed all plants on Earth. In Australia, only one city survived. And that's because of a company called Crocodile Corporation and they make artificial oxygen. But breathing in this artificial oxygen causes a strange sickness over time. Here's where the main character Ethan White comes in. He's a mechanic at the company, but one day everything changes. The leader of the company calls Ethan into their lab and revealed this giant machine. She says Ethan is the only person who can stop humanity from going extinct and Ethan is confused. Then we see Ethan has like a weird device on his wrist. And we find out 20 years ago his dad put that device on him for an experiment and never told him. Turns out this machine is actually pretty much a time machine. And it sent back a secret message from the future. When they decoded the message, they realized it said, "Send Ethan White." Ethan obviously does not want to go, but his wife is sick from breathing in too much artificial oxygen, so he finally agrees, leaves her a note, and goes into the time machine to be sent to the year 2474. When he gets there, he realizes all the plants have been restored, but no humans are anywhere. Then he finds a locked door with a skeleton in front of it. As he looks closer, he realizes the skeleton is himself. It even has the same wrist device, except the light has turned green. So why did his dad actually put that device on him all those years ago? And why is he the chosen one to save humanity? There's a huge plot twist in the end, and I just thought this story was so interesting. So go watch it and let me know what you think. And follow for more movies and stories.
Should I check that out, man? That actually piqued my interest. I wonder what that plot twist is, man. Any of you seekers actually watched that movie 2067? I'm gonna have to check that out.
3 extremely disturbing facts you won't believe are actually true. Number 3. In a bizarre case, an Ohio man was mistakenly declared dead by the Social Security Administration in 1979. Upon discovering this error in 1994, he immediately initiated legal action to restore his status as a living person. However, a judge refused to overturn the decision, stating that there was a 3-year limit to challenge such a declaration.
What?
As a result, this man is legally living as a deceased person in his own country. Number 2. There's a disturbing practice at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. The chicks that hatch live in front of visitors in their chick hatching exhibit are then sent to the Brookfield Zoo, where they are fed to predator animals. This is a shocking truth hidden behind a seemingly innocent exhibit. Number 1. Disneyland and Disney World are iconic places, often associated with joyful family memories. However, there's a strange phenomenon that occurs in these parks. People so frequently scatter the ashes of their loved ones there that Disney had to establish a special procedure to deal with it. A dedicated team is ready to intervene as soon as an ash scattering is reported, cleaning up the area to maintain the park's joyful atmosphere.
Here's some facts that'll
instantly
make you smarter. Part 1. Bananas are not actually fruits, they're herbs. And this is because the stem of the banana is succulent and not wood. Scientists say that it's less likely to rain on a Monday than any other day of the week. Reason is that Mondays carry less pollution over the weekend. If you drop a piece of toast, it'll almost always land butter side down. Try this one out and let me know. And finally, the hardest language for an English speaker to learn is Japanese, Chinese, Arabic, or Korean.
Oh, really?
Scary facts that will make your skin crawl. BT.3. If you're wearing earplugs listening to music, and you hear someone calling you or the door knocking, there is no one calling. It's the ghost informing you of their presence. The inventors of the Ouija board claim it got its name when they asked it what it should be called. They also asked it what Ouija meant, and it replied, "Good luck." If you're walking and you feel someone behind you, it's a ghost looking at you. The human body can feel the presence of ghosts.
I think I felt something like that before, man. When somebody's staring at you, but you can't identify what it is. I feel like a chill down my spine. Is this cap a fact, man? They put a GoPro on a shark? But that is true, man. Like how, isn't it scary how they said like 80% of our ocean is like undiscovered, or we haven't even like reached the full potential of it yet. So there's things down there that we don't even have no idea what it is. If you think about it, man. Something to think on. We hear that? I'm hitting the jets. I'm out.
Today I learned that if your parent calls you by your sibling's name, it's not because they're playing favorites, but rather it's a cognitive glitch.
This misnaming phenomenon is due to our mental semantic network categorizing people into different social groups or relationship ponds, according to a 2016 study published in the Memory and Cognition Journal by Samantha Deffler. When I say spoon, you might think of a fork. Similarly, when a mom calls for her daughter, the concept of her daughter is also linked to her son, so she may accidentally call her daughter by her son's name. It was also found that some family members accidentally call each other by their family's dog's name. Deffler also recalls one young man accidentally calling his girlfriend by his sister's name, to which the girlfriend responded, "That's probably a bad sign." Misnamings also occur phonetically when initial or internal sounds sound the same, like John, Johnny, or Bob, but physical appearance and gender was proven to not be a factor. So next time someone calls you by a different name, don't take it personally, but it does give you a clue that your name belongs to a certain relationship pond in that person's mind. Alright, that's all. This is Shankstep, over and out.
This
Interesting
shows
facts.
different sizes of animal eggs. We're starting off with really tiny eggs.
Okay.
So obviously, these ones are no bigger than a Tic Tac. But don't worry, guys. We're gonna get much, much bigger.
Wow, okay.
Platypus, I didn't know platypus had really tiny eggs.
Damn.
Sea turtles, yes, okay.
American Marlins,
Quail eggs. Now, have you guys tried quail eggs? I definitely have, and they're very, very tasty. Chicken eggs, the average, that's the standard.
That's
for
the
eggs,
biggest
right?
one.
Crocodile eggs, they look like Tic Tacs, honestly.
Kiwi,
eggs,
damn.
how do they even come out of that? Of the kiwi
A
bird?
flamingo, I'm guessing?
Okay, dragon eggs, I didn't know they existed. Okay, I thought it was a mammoth, and mammoth could lay eggs, but obviously it don't. It was a mammoth bird.
Xenomorph, what the
So we're getting in territories where these animals don't exist, and Godzilla egg is
that
Crazy.
I know for some reason. Most Koreans have a genetic mutation called ABCC11, which makes their sweat odorless. If you ate a polar bear's liver, you would literally die because there's way too much vitamin A for a human to handle. If you ever find yourself seeing an anteater doing this silly T-pose, get the fuck away, because that is their way of warning you that they're about to claw your eyes out. On average, around 2,195 children die from diarrhea every single day. That is more than AIDS, measles, and malaria combined. Around 95% of whale semen is dumped into the ocean during mating season. You actually have a lot more in common with gorillas than you think. For instance, the average length of a gorilla's schlong is 2 inches.
What? He just tried to cook everybody in the last... No, bro. He thinks he's funny, but he tried to cook everybody with that last fact. That ain't it. But I didn't know what the heck that South Korean... He said Koreans, they can have something that they make their sweat odorless, and that more people die from diarrhea than all those other horrible things come out. Man, the more you know, Seekers. Tap in with us, man. I'm gonna learn some facts. I would have never guessed that in a million years.
The creepiest theories known to man. If the human body senses trauma it is unable to combat, it will switch off metabolism, pump endorphins, and slip into a pain-free dissociative state. In essence, you just shut down. Prey animals display this behavior when they're caught by predators. That's why they seem so unfazed when they're about to be eaten. If you die while being beheaded, the last thing you might see is your decapitated body. The dark forest theory. Why haven't we seen any other advanced life forms, despite the vastness of the universe? Other advanced life forms don't send out signals into the rest of the universe because they're worried that something more advanced and dangerous is going to find them first. Dead-end trips. It's possible to travel so far away from where you started that the expansion of the universe will exceed the speed you were traveling at. You can't return home because home is receding faster than you can travel. You can't reach your destination because it too is receding faster than you can travel. You can no longer get anywhere, only get further away from everything. That mind control actually exists. It's something that would never go public because whoever was able to perfect it first would be in a position to use it on whoever is aware of its existence.
These are the worst countries to get arrested. Up first is Singapore. This country has severely strict laws. You can't chew gum, spit, or even walk around your own house naked.
What?
But if you end up going there and get caught doing any of these, you'll face a fine, serious jail time, or worse. So just imagine chewing gum walking down the street, and suddenly you get arrested and get thrown in jail for 5 years. Next up is North Korea. This is pretty self-explanatory, but let me explain why. If you get arrested in North Korea, even if it's for the most minor thing, you will either be thrown in jail, a labor camp, or executed. If you so much just speak your own opinion in this country, you can be arrested and killed.
2 places I ain't going. You write that off the bucket list. We ain't going to Singapore or North Korea. That ain't for me, man. I can't go out like that. Just by walking down the street chewing some gum. Nah.
Crazy things happening in the world right now. An Indiana judge ruled that tacos and burritos are sandwiches. These beds are arriving at the Paris Olympics to stop the athletes from getting into large groups and doing adult things at night. Stoplights in Oakland are being replaced by stop signs after thieves have been cutting the signal of the stoplight for its copper wire. McDonald's is trying to get rid of free refills by removing all self-serve machines by 2032. A teenager was given a ticket for almost $1,000 because he was using his phone in the McDonald's drive-thru. Roku wants to take over HDMI feeds with ads. A parliament member in Taiwan ran away with the bill to prevent it from being passed. Journalists have been stealing President Biden's pillowcases from Air Force One. The Louvre Museum is considering moving the Mona Lisa underground to stop public disappointment. This Florida teenager says she was denied entry to prom due to her wearing a suit. Louisiana is now the first state to require the 10 Commandments be posted in every classroom.
Crazy.
Hey, he's got her at gunpoint. Listen, we don't want to hurt you, okay? Just let your mom walk to us. Keep your hands up. Do not reach behind your back. Where's the gun? Do not reach for it. He's going back in the house. Ma'am, come here. Walk to my flashlight. Hey, he just popped out with the gun. Ma'am, get away from him now and come here. Stop reaching in your waistband. I'm hit. Tourniquet. I'm hit.
The moment we have all been waiting for.
Thank you, Aaron. Calm off the rest.
It took 29 long days, but we have finally gotten to the point where the Commonwealth rests its case in the Karen Read trial. 29 days to present their entire case. It would appear that the defense team says that they will only need 3 days to present their case. Now listen, I don't know how all these things come together, but I gotta feel bad to some extent for Adam Wally because this is not an easy case to win whatsoever. Now on the flip side, from his perspective, his delivery is just infuriating. It's so painful, and the style of which he approached the chronological order of this thing, which seems like it makes sense, but really shouldn't have. He should have just like come out the gate with Jen McCabe or somebody along those lines. It's just, it was a tough 29 days. But I think I'm like everybody else. Why don't we just hear it? Let's just hear it one more time, just to be sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Aaron. Calm off the rest.
Hallelujah.
Things that almost no humans can do, apart from not showing if you can, then you're bloody weird. This is where you bend your pinky finger without moving your ring finger. And only 5% of humans can actually do this. Enjoy this video if you can do it.
Can you guys do that? Comment down below if you can.
Crazy things happening in the world right now. A woman withdrew a counterfeit $100 bill from a Wells Fargo ATM. The man who posted the dress that broke the internet admitted to strangling his wife last month. This remote tribe in South America was finally connected to the internet thanks to Elon's Starlink. Results show that the tribe has become heavily addicted to adult websites. 706 people named Kyle got together in Texas, but it wasn't enough for a world record. This veteran's wife sliced off his manhood, and now he's lost his toes thanks to toxic water. $500,000 of baby eels were seized at the Toronto airport. This woman gave herself poop transplants from her brother's feces in order to help her IBS, and then started developing acne just like his. We just discovered the largest black hole in our galaxy, and it's only 2,000 light years away from us. Bodies in Canada are going unclaimed because funeral costs are getting so expensive.
That is crazy, bro. All these crazy facts happening around the world. All these cows gathering up, and did that lady really use her brother's poop and put it on her face? What be going through people's minds, man? She really thought that was a good idea. That caused that like Let's move on. Where's the sky? You know they'd be edits.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 21. This photo shows an 8-month-old Zhao Bao who was lucky to be alive because his mother stabbed him 90 times after he bit her while she was breastfeeding him. The world's scariest haunted house, McCamey Manor, requires you to sign a 40-page waiver and undergo a physical and mental evaluation. If you manage to make it through the house, you could win $20,000. But to this day, no one has ever made it through. The little girl who voiced Ducky in The Land Before Time was shot to death by her father, who then committed suicide. Roman Emperor Nero had a boy castrated, dressed him up as a bride, and married him, all because the boy looked similar to his previous dead wife. A 46-year-old man found and attacked a 13-year-old boy because the kid was killing him too many times in a game of Call of Duty.
Why the hell are North Korea now building a border wall? You see, according to new satellite images, North Korea is building something that resembles a wall in several places near its border with South Korea. It's not clear when they started this unannounced project, but as you can see, these structures were not visible in this image captured in November 2023. And although North and South Korea are still technically at war, having never signed a peace treaty, reunification of the two countries has always been the publicly stated goal of Kim Jong-un. But at the beginning of this year, for some reason, everything changed. For the first time, Kim announced that reunification with the South is no longer possible. He changed the constitution to designate them as the principal enemy, and that if war did break out, it should reflect the issue of occupying, recapturing, or incorporating the South into its territory. He shut down 3 organizations dealing with reunification, simulated nuclear strikes on the South, called for a build-up of the country's military arsenal, held live-fire exercises near the South's territory, sent close to 1,000 balloons over the border carrying trash and feces, and then most recently becoming best friends with Putin, signing a critical partnership agreement providing for mutual help in the event of aggression against either of them. And now we've got a war. So the question is this just classic North Korea warmongering, or should the risk of escalation be taken very seriously?
Would you adopt it?
Why the hell did they... Well, what's the wall for, though? That's what's turning my mind. Like, what's the point of building that wall if you... That's your intent behind what you're really trying to do. Trying to get South Korea?
Facts that will mess with your perception of time. The last execution by guillotine in France happened after the first ever Star Wars premiered. What? The corporation Nintendo, that was formed the same year that Starry Night was painted. By Vincent van Gogh. The Roman Empire fell in 1453. And America was discovered 40 years later in 1492. Those 2 points in history are miles apart in my head. In 1861, Italy became an official country. And in 1886, Coca-Cola was invented. They were probably serving Coke at the 25-year anniversary of Italy itself. Rosa Parks and Harriet Tubman, both prominent female figures in the civil rights movement, were alive during the same time. Like for a few months, but that's still crazy. In 1686, Isaac Newton came up with the 3 laws of motion. And in 1692, the Salem witch trial started. We were doing so well with science. And then we were just like, oh no, women are witches actually.
Louisiana has just become the first state to require that the 10 Commandments must be displayed in every public school classroom. The legislation was signed into law yesterday and requires a poster-sized display of the 10 Commandments in large, easily readable font in all classrooms from kindergarten to university. Now, as you'd imagine, this law, which comes into effect in 2025, has split some opinions. Some are praising it, saying that it gives kids a moral guide and that it's not just religious text, it has historical significance. But opponents have already said that they vow to sue, saying that it violates the separation of the church and the state and it is blatantly unconstitutional. So the question is, do you think that this law is a good or bad idea?
Disturbing facts that will ruin your life. Coconuts kill more people than sharks every year. Same with cows. vending machines are actually twice as likely to kill you than a shark is.
What?
France was still executing people via guillotine when the first Star Wars film came out. There are more fake flamingos in the world than real ones. There are more tigers in Texas than the rest of the world. There's enough iron in your body to make a 3-inch nail. Beethoven...
Ooh. It's crazy about the freaking nail part. Our body produces that much iron that it makes a 3-inch nail? What the hell is going on, man? I tell you secrets, man. Tap in with us. You gonna learn. At it. Calling that. Call out.
This is what the last 24 hours of a death row prisoner looks like. First, the inmate is woken bright and early so they can make their last phone calls to friends and family, while the equipment in the death chamber is tested, including either the gurney straps or the electric chair's components. The inmate is then given a budget of $15 to $40 for their last meal, and they eat it at around 4 p.m. But in some states, prisoners no longer get to pick their last meal at all, so they only get the usual prison food. Next, both the victim and the condemned friends and family wait in the witness room for lethal injection. The prisoner is told to lay down on the gurney and is tied down by a team. Doctors don't perform executions because this goes against their code of ethics, so a special team administers the drugs. Sometimes inmates make a final statement, then the warden gives a signal to the executioner, and as the day ends, so does the prisoner's life.
Woo. Can't imagine that job. That's known. Ostrich.
Anyone can tell me what this is? Let me know in the comments.
Octopus?
I'll tell you one thing, you definitely don't want to touch that thing. That was a highly venomous creature known as a giant siphonophore. You can't miss them. They're the longest creature in the world, getting up to 50 meters long. That's longer than a blue whale. That's half a football field. But the crazy thing is they're not even considered one creature. It's actually a colony of creatures known as zooids that move together as one unit. Some of them are for digestion, some for reproduction, and some of them for stinging. And a sting by one of them is said to be one of the most excruciating pains in the world. Their venom is also a neurotoxin, so it can paralyze the prey as well. But the craziest part is you don't even need to touch it. If anything gets too close to a siphonophore, they can fire their stingers. And their stingers will chase you because they're alive. That is one dangerous noodle. Moral of the story, if you're ever in the water and you see this thing, admire it from a distance. A really far distance. And as always, follow for more facts.
Have you guys seen this video that's gone viral of this woman getting sucked into the ocean while walking on the beach with her boyfriend? So this happened on June 16th in the city of Sochi in Russia when this 20-year-old woman was walking on the beach with her boyfriend when these huge waves began hitting them. At first, it didn't seem too serious and they probably didn't feel threatened, but after a while, the waves got bigger and stronger. This poor woman is then seen being swept into the ocean while her boyfriend was able to run out. He then tries to find her, but at this point, it seems like it's too late. What's crazy is that this was all caught on camera and it was reported that after 3 days, she still wasn't found. This is so tragic and sad, and it's a reminder that the ocean can be unpredictable and dangerous.
Strangest facts about each zodiac sign. Part 1. Taurus. Many Tauruses are known to be stalkers. If not lurking on you in real life, while probably creeping on your Instagram story. Gemini. Geminis are known to be extremely good liars. Even catching them in the act, they'll somehow try and convince you that they didn't do it. Don't forget to like and follow for more videos.
Are those true about those signs? One's a good liar and one's a freaking stalker. What do you guys think? A few of those signs, tell me down below.
Let's take a look at 3 of the most horrific torture methods in human history. Up first we have the heretic's fork. This device was used mainly during the Spanish Inquisition. It had 2 sharp ends which were positioned pointing at the victim's chin and neck, meaning that they couldn't nod their head or fall asleep without risking wounding themselves.
The victims were forced to wear the heretic's fork until they confessed to crimes that they may or may not have committed. Next up we have the brazen bowl. This torture device was a hollowed out bronze statue shaped like a bowl with enough space for a human being to fit inside. Once the victim had been locked within the statue, a fire would be built underneath, essentially baking them alive. In an ironic twist of fate, the person that invented this device would also become its first victim. Finally, we have Judas's cradle. This gruesome device was used during the 16th century. It was essentially a three-legged stool, but instead of a seat, it had a massive wooden or metal spike. Its victims were slowly lowered down onto it until eventually it pierced their most sensitive parts. Comment which of these devices sounds the most painful to you and follow for more.
Judas Crave got it.
The last one is crazy. If you knew your mom wasn't home, but you heard somebody at your door with her voice, would you answer?
I ain't open that door.
Do you want to know who your secret crush is? It's the second person you see when you click share and more. In 1991, Philip Lewis, who we know as Mr. Mosby on Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, took a woman's life while drunk driving. His blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit. But since Maryland didn't have strict laws on drunk driving yet, he only served about 1 prison year and some community service. No one can comment under this video and give 0 likes. If there is a comment with 0 likes, you are the chosen one. Before we get to the last scary thing, please support this page by clicking the follow button for more interesting posts every day. 2 cops were called to a graveyard to investigate noises when they heard this. Yeah, comment below what you think that was.
They said we out.
Evil people in history. Number 10 is Saddam Hussein. We all remember Saddam. Number 9, Kim Jong-il, who is the uncle and the former leader of Kim Jong-un of North Korea, and he was even worse than Kim Jong-un. Like, even though Kim Jong-un is bad, like, we got to step up from Kim Jong-il. I remember reading that he once fed his family to dogs. Number 8 is Genghis Khan, the guy, you know, the Mongolia Chinese wall, the Great Wall of China, forced everybody to do that. Number 7, Heinrich Himmler, one of the right-hand men in the Nazi Party, was just all around evil. Number 6, Pol Pot, terrible man, maybe was one of the most ruthless killers in history. Number 5, Mao Zedong, the terrible emperor of China. Number 4, Osama bin Laden, the fool who committed 9/11 and went in hiding, and then we all forgot about him until Obama was like, we're actually going to go get him now, and I was like, thank God. Number 3, Vlad the Impaler. Vlad the Impaler is the basis for the character of Dracula. His middle name was Dragula, and he was known for impaling his victims on sticks and posing them in front of the castle. Number 2, Joseph Stalin, who was the leader of Russia during World War II, and he was basically one of the most ruthless killers as well. He had concentration camps for the Russians that didn't support him, and millions of people died under him. If you like this list and want more lists about other nonsense, follow me. Leave me a comment with the most evil person in history in your book. Also follow my Instagram and fiance Samantha, who I've tagged. Number 1, I can't even say his name on TikTok, but we all know who it is. Evil.
I haven't been this disturbed in a while. This poor girl was essayed by her father for 12 years, had 3 children with him, all while her grandparents knew. This all happened in West Virginia. Alexandra Thomas was only 9 years old when her father, Kenneth Cook, began essaying her. She gave birth to her first child at 16, her second child at 18, and her third child at 20 years old. This is her dad's Facebook account. It says Daddy's Baby Girls. Disgusting. Alexandra said that at the age of 9, she tried to tell CPS, but her grandmother worked very closely with them and told them that she was lying. She said that her grandfather also knew what was going on, but he wasn't surprised and just didn't care. She said that her father threatened her multiple times that if she said anything again, he could make her disappear. She wasn't allowed to have a phone, friends, and he kept her away from her mother's family so that this secret wouldn't get out. Alexandra posted this on Facebook, and basically she said that her youngest was born with severe health issues and stayed in the hospital for the first week, but since her father was scared that the truth truth would be exposed, he forced her to keep the baby at home, all while he needed medical attention. This disgusting family secret was finally revealed one day when the youngest child was found malnourished. He was only weighing 6 pounds at the age of 1. That's when they did a genetic testing and found out that Kenneth and Alexandra were related. This monster faces more than 150 charges, and his parents can also be charged because they knew this entire time and they never reported it.
This is Trypophobia.
The world is going to a freaking dark place, dark hole, man. The grandparents knew and they did nothing to try to stop it. They just ignored us. Hey, ain't my problem. Come on, man. People need to be better, plain and simple.
Phobia test, Extreme Edition. Can you make it through all 5? Let's find out. Start the test. Number 1. How about this?
I'm cool.
Halfway through. Feeling uncomfortable yet? Last one. If you couldn't make it to the end, then you could have trypophobia, which is the fear of clusters of small holes or patterns. Follow now to see if you can make it through the next extreme phobia test.
I made it. Where was she at?
If you're scared of snakes, this video will probably be your worst nightmare. This absolute unit of a snake is called the Titanoboa, and they existed over 60 million years ago. These things were slithering around at almost 50 feet long, and let me just put that into perspective for you. That would be like lining up 8 Shaquille O'Neals from head to toe, and we know that dude's massive. Now, God didn't want to make them too overpowered, so he didn't give them any venom, but he did give them the ability to be amazing swimmers and even faster than a racehorse when moving on land. Now, although the Titanoboa doesn't have any venom, it is a constrictor, so when it catches its prey, it crushes the absolute soul out of it. Its jaw then unhinges, allowing its mouth to open wide enough to consume a whole human, alligator, really anything else. You might be thinking, with all this power, how did this beast go extinct? Well, it's not because they skipped leg day. No. You see, when the Earth cooled down, they couldn't maintain their metabolism anymore and went extinct. You can thank God that they're not around today. Make sure you share this video with someone who hates snakes.
Today I'm going to show you one of the scariest things on the internet. When is the last time any of you guys have actually checked your spam folder? Well, today I got really bored and I was checking my emails and I clicked on my spam folder and I came across this. This is a spam email and it is basically threatening me that if I don't send $1,300, they're going to ruin my life. Firstly, I already know you and all of your loved ones very well. Secondly, the occasion for which I'm writing to you is not the happiest one for a friendly greeting. The next part of this email then proceeds to tell me that it has access to my webcam and that it's been monitoring my activity for the last few months and I've been up to some not good things. Apparently, I've been watching a highly controversial video, they recorded it, then they proceed to tell me that they have access to my entire contact list and they're going to be sending this controversial video they recorded of me to all my friends, colleagues, and family. Here is the bad part. I can go further and put all of these files as well as the recorded fun of you and your hacked contents with hardcore videos. Then they proceed to say, send me $1,300 and I won't send it. Well, that got me really interested because I was like, there's no way people are actually dumb enough to fall for this scam. Right? They have made a total of $4,547. So that makes me wonder, what type of videos are these people who are sending the money watching? Look, I'm not telling people to do this, but they've made about $5 grand in like 4 days. Not that bad. But the real question is, what type of videos were these people watching where they felt scared enough to actually send the money? Be sure to like and follow for more videos tomorrow.
He's actually asking important questions, man. They sent $1,300 here. What were they watching, bro? They must have been watching something they wasn't supposed to, man. They were that scared. Because obviously you can tell that was a fake email, but it scared him to the core. He was doing something they weren't supposed to be doing.
Morbid Facts, Part 10. When 13-year-old Ryan White got AIDS from a blood donor in 1984, he was only given 6 months to live. Even though doctors said he posed absolutely zero risk to other students, Ryan was banned from returning to school by a petition signed by 117 parents. An auction was even held to raise funds to keep him out, and a local newspaper that supported him received death threats. The family had no other choice but to leave town when a bullet was shot through the window of their home. Ryan outlived the doctor's diagnosis by 5 years, dying at the age of 19. In 2009, Moscow native Julia Popova was stabbed in the neck by a mugger, but she was in so much shock that she walked home without even realizing that the knife was embedded in her, just millimeters from her spinal cord. She spent over an hour with the blade in her back before finally going to the hospital. The knife was successfully removed via surgery, and Julia made a full recovery. Dutchman Dirk Willems was a religious prisoner who escaped his execution in 1569. When the guard chasing him fell through the ice in a nearby river, Willems turned around to save him. He was then recaptured and burned at the stake. Your lungs have a total surface area of 750 square feet, meaning if they were opened up and laid flat, they would cover the entire size of a tennis court. In 1977, the drummer for Lynyrd Skynyrd, Artemis Pyle, survived the plane crash that killed half the band. He then walked to a nearby house for help, only to be shot by the homeowner. He was apparently startled by the sight of a long-haired, bloody man, and fired a warning shot that hit the drummer in the shoulder. Once Pyle shouted that there was a crash, the farmer helped him and he went on to recover.
Just wait for the video at the end where you see this giant thing submerged. It's beautiful. It's not. This is the gigantic crocodile animatronic used for the 1999 movie Lake Placid. Look at the animatronics mechanics that are going to be completely submerged, including most of it. And this is how absolutely massive it is. It was made by Stan Winston and his crew, and they're geniuses. It's great, but this horrifies me. I'm suing. Like, here's it in the water, mostly submerged, with bro up there. I could never, you could not pay me to be a guy in the freaking water like this. No. Like, could you ever get in the water with this thing? With this gigantic crocodile animatronic? No. Nah. This is the gigantic rig that is actually the, like, skeleton of the crocodile that's completely submerged. Like, look at this. Look at this. Knowing it's completely submerged in the water, I hate it. Look at this one. What's that underneath him? That's a person that's, like, fixing things underneath it. Let's look at it again. Could you ever do that? They use a giant winch to put it in the water. Like, why? They could have completely used CGI. They should have. I'm scared. This is one of the worst ones for me. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. And could you ever be in the water with that?
Imagine seeing that, man. You wouldn't even think that's an animatronic. You would think that was real. You really can't tell the difference.
Here are some signs that you won't believe actually exist. Alright, here's the first one. Please do not stand, sit, climb or lean on zoo fences. If you fall, animals scare you and that might make them sick. Thank you. This container transports a disease which has no cure. Why? Danger, if you fall in the pond, you will be boiled. Attention, make sure the door is closed tightly so bears can't get in. Thank you. Why would bears be getting in? What the Really hoping the same sign is on the entrance of the slide. Oh, surely it isn't. Do not grab Hamish by the horns. I will not grab Hamish by the horn. If elevator does not move, do a small jump, it should move after. Nah, why would it move? What? Danger, do not get on elevator with one of these. If it leaks, you'll die. Why would someone get an elevator with one of these? What?
Behind me is 14-year-old George Stinney Jr. And at the age of 14, he was falsely accused of killing 2 girls. This happened 80 years ago, and this little kid was sentenced to death by the electric chair. They found the bodies of 2 young girls by George's house, so they automatically blamed him, even though they had no evidence whatsoever. On top of the false accusations, he spent 81 days in jail without even seeing his parents, and he was 80 miles away from his hometown. And he also did not get treated well. He didn't even have a lawyer in his presence during the time of questioning, and he was a kid, so he doesn't know better. He also did not receive a fair trial. The trial lasted 2 hours, and then it was handed down in 10 minutes. His parents weren't even allowed in the courtroom, and then they were banned from the city. On the day of his execution, he was carrying a Bible with him, and then they had to prop him up on that same Bible because he was too short for the electric chair. 70 years later, they overturned this conviction, saying that this case didn't make any sense. Apparently, the girls died because blunt force trauma by a beam. George is way too small to lift that beam up, so they were like, there's no possible way. But the damage was done. This was 70 years way too late. The Green Mile by Stephen King was inspired by this story. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Let's see if you have thalassophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have thalassophobia. So let's go. First one. How about this?
I'm cool.
Feeling uneasy yet? Almost there. Last one. If those images made you feel uneasy, then you may have thalassophobia, which is the fear of deep bodies of water. So let me know if you discovered a new phobia down below.
But I wouldn't go that deep in water, so I think the last one got me, man. I'll never go that deep. That ain't for me. Somebody in there with him? Yep.
This film director was found stabbed to death inside of her London home. One thing was missing, it was her diamond-encrusted Rolex, and they think that is the motive for the murder right now. Her name is Jennifer Abbott, but she was known professionally as Sarah Steinberg. Now here's the crazy part, she was found by her niece and neighbors, and when they found her, she had tape over her mouth. Somebody stabbed her, maybe taped her mouth before they stabbed her, and then took her stuff and headed out. On top of this, she was found wrapped in a blanket on her bed. She was last seen walking her corgi on June 10th. Now that same very corgi was found alive. However, it was locked in the bathroom for 3 days, so it's a miracle that thing even survived. The niece was panicking that something was wrong with her aunt when she showed up initially. She got the neighbors, and the neighbor's son ended up breaking the door down. People are saying she also had stomach cancer and recently underwent surgery right before her death, which makes me think personally, somebody must have heard something, maybe she went through surgery and was recovering, and then that made her the perfect victim for their attack. Of course, she's a very successful director. She's going to have expensive things probably laying around her home. Do you guys think there's something fishy behind the scenes? Let me know.
Was this woman saved by her guardian angel? Joan wrote on Catholic.org that when she was 21, she was heading to a club with 2 friends. She said that as she got ready, she started feeling really odd. Then she said that it became clear to her that her and her friend were going to get into a car accident and she would not walk away from it. This was before cell phones, so she had to wait for her friend to tell her that she could not go with her since she had already left her house when Joan had this revelation. When Joan opened the door to tell her friend that she would not be going, she said that she felt a strong hand on each of her shoulders holding her back, even though she was completely alone in the room. Once she told her friend that she could not go with her, she said that the hands and the odd feeling went away. On the way home from the club, her friend got into a car accident and totaled the passenger side of the car where Joan would have been sitting. She was fine, but the passenger side of the car was completely destroyed.
I need to know how you feel about abandoned water parks, because if you're anything like me, you hate this. Look at this in the water. That shouldn't be there. That's supposed to float, not sink. Why is abandoned places, number one, terrifying, but also abandoned amusement parks and water parks so much worse? This image with the graffiti, that's actually beautiful. I don't like this though. This is still water. Icky. We got Cosmo and Wanda, or more recently, Elphaba and Glinda. The pipes in the water of this one in particular sends me over the edge. I have a huge phobia of pipes and water. Call me stupid, make fun of me all you want. This is icky, and I know I'm not the only one. Imagine that you're exploring an abandoned water park late at night, and you decide to go in there, and you get stuck, and there's no one to save you. I don't like that. Why am I scaring myself? Like, that's not safe, dude. That's not, please get down. Please get down. I'm gonna call your mom.
It really is.
Like, why? Why do people do this? I just don't like the fact that nature is taking this place back. It's beautiful. Terrifying, though. So, yeah. How do you feel? Terrifying, right? Or am I dumb yet again?
Maybe. Maybe I go exploring. Abandoned water park during the day, but not during the night. I don't know what creepy crawler's going to try to come out. So, yeah.
World's most dangerous conspiracy theories. This picture represents conspiracy theories from the most well-known to the darkest. Some of these theories say once you learn the truth, there's no return. For this series, we're going to be picking some from each category until we reach tier 10, the point of no return. Tier 10 is so scary that some people are saying that I will die before I even reach tier 10. Okay, tier 1. Today we're going to be talking about cryptozoology. Cryptozoology is defined as the search for animals whose existence is disputed. For example, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and the Loch Ness Monster. For this one, I want to talk about the Ningan. The Ningan is based in Japan. It's an aquatic aquatic humanoid creature that can be larger than a whale but also mutate into a human. I know what you're thinking, no way this is real. I thought the same thing until I saw this. In 2007, a company published a magazine with Ningans on the cover. The magazines were completely destroyed with no trace, but I found the PDF file of what it looked like. It gets even weirder. Early February 2013, a huge mysterious object washes ashore that makes locals freak out. 3 days later, the website was taken down without a trace. Doing some more research, I found out that people from Japan created a forum page talking about all of the government corruption that was happening. They then began to speak on the Ningan, and somebody says that he was on the research ship when they captured it on camera, and then government officials raided the boat and even supposedly killing some of the people. 3 days later, the forum page was taken down without a trace, but I found it once again, and take a look at one of the videos somebody posted. So what do you think? Is this Ningan just some myth, or is the government hiding something much darker? This was only tier 1. Make sure to follow to see tier 2 because we have a lot more to cover.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was of cancer. The patient had upside down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Charon, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one 2-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Today we're going to be talking about some of the absolute worst shark animatronics, most of them underwater. Let's go. This image, I hate it. This guy that's on a dark ride, I don't like this one at all. Here's another version of it when it pops out of the water more. Who did this? Here's another image of the same shark with the track right by it. That is sickening, completely submerged like that. This image completely plagues my nightmares of the Jaws animatronic for the movie. This one's actually super interesting. Her name is Daisy, and she is a shark animatronic that looks super, super realistic. And she is rented out for people to like make movies and stuff of her. But here's an image of her being transported in the water, and she looks kind of goofy. This isn't an animatronic, but this image freaks me out every single time I see it. I'm pretty sure it's CGI, and it is from Deep Blue Sea, the best shark movie ever made. Another Jaws animatronic picture. I hate this one. All the tracks and all the animatronics, some mechanophobia coded. Hate it. This one has braces, and that red eye is freaking me out. Here's one of the Jaws animatronics without face skin if you needed to have nightmares tonight. There you go. These animatronics, oh my god, the fact that they're in the water is so sickening like that. Like, why? Sharks are the scariest because of their completely black eyeballs. Like, they have no, like, whites of their eyes. They're just, like, these black, just creepy eyes. I don't like them. You would have to pay me at least $500 to get on this ride, this Finding Nemo ride. The fact that Bruce sticks his head out like that. Like, look at him side-eyeing, dude. I don't like looking at this picture at all. And, of course, the Jaws animatronic at the Japanese Universal Studios. The worst. The fact that it is huge and it is in that water like that. Hate it. Which one was the worst for you?
This is what would happen if you stopped sleeping. After the first 24 hours, you would feel great, which is because early on, sleeplessness stimulates a part of your brain that causes you to feel happy and energetic. But not long after this 24-hour mark, you'll start to feel sluggish, be forgetful, and appear drunk to other people. After 2 full days of not sleeping, your body would appear to lose all its energy and feel like it's shutting down. Just because your body can't properly metabolize glucose without sleep. After 3 days, your skin would become pale, your eyes would become red, and you'll start to hallucinate. Which means that your worst nightmares are going to appear real right in front of your eyes, kind of like sleep paralysis, but you're awake. And after 2 full weeks, your immune system would be so weak that the common cold would be enough to unalive you. And after 3 full weeks, there's a super high chance that you'll have a heart attack. But let me know, what was the longest you ever went without sleeping?
This married teacher cried as cops arrested her after they found out she had sexually abused a student 45 times. And apparently she had groomed that student since he was 14 all the way up to about age 16. She'll face nearly 60 years in prison if she's convicted and found guilty. Apparently, the teenage student's mother was going through his phone and found disturbing texts between the teacher and her son. She decided to contact the school board and the police to get to the bottom of what's going on. As of today, she has resigned from her teaching job. And then, like I said, there was 45 counts of her and the student engaging in sex and stuff like that. Whether that was in school, before school, at her own home, everything. They found thousands of texts confirming what the boy's mother was saying too. When police confronted her, she claimed that the student was just some sort of stalker that was obsessed with her. And also, the husband had no idea what was going on. He just knew the student as some soccer player at the school. And that's when the text messages got pulled up. As of right now, she's denying any sexual relations with that student. And then they pulled from her notes app and found a memoir of things she was mad about. Apparently, she was mad that the teenage boy was not picking her as the first choice or something like that. She was literally just venting in her notes app about this kid. A 30-year-old grown teacher. Let me know your thoughts.
She was sacrificed by 3 teen boys so that their band could make it big and even inspired the movie Jennifer's Body. Elise Per was born on April 26 of 1980 in Arroyo Grande, California. Her parents raised her as a Christian and had a strong connection with their beliefs. On July 22nd of 1995, 15-year-old Elise was reported missing. For about 8 months, no one could find a trace of Elise and her case went cold. The case opened up when 17-year-old Royce Casey admitted to taking the life of Elise with 2 other teenagers. He led police to mummified remains of Elise at a grave that was only a quarter-mile away from her home. The 2 other teens involved were 16-year-old Jacob and 15-year-old Joseph, and the 3 were all arrested and charged. According to Royce, they picked Elise because she was a blonde, blue-eyed virgin, and they were going to sacrifice her so that their metal band would make it big. Once the boys picked Elise as their victim, they stalked her for weeks and to find the best way they could get her away from school and to hang out with them alone. When they successfully lured Elise away from the school, they took her to a grove with the promise of substances. They attacked her from behind, put a belt around her neck, and strangled her. They all took turns stabbing her when she was left with 12 stab wounds. As these boys were attacking and kicking her body, Elise was praying to God for help and calling out for her mom. Elise eventually bled to death with her 12 stab wounds. But the torture didn't stop there. Once she had passed away, the boys essayed her body. Royce was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 21 years, and it's probably because he confessed to the police. Jacob and Joseph were both sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 26 years. In 2021, Royce was up for parole, and he stated that he was a changed person. He felt remorse. He even got an education while he was in prison, but he was denied. Many think that the movie Jennifer's Body is based on this case. In the movie, Jennifer is taken to the woods by these band members. They end up sacrificing her so that their band can make it big. But in the movie, she becomes a vampire and takes the life of guys.
And we know, man, how these movies and shows will be based off of real true stories, so that's not that far of a leap. It's a chilling case.
Would you ever visit this abandoned park that has a bunch of massive busts of old presidents? You know, I don't think I would. It used to be a lively place, but it closed in 2010, and some guy bought all of the busts and put it on some abandoned land. And it looks like this now. This is horrifying. I don't like this. This is how big a human is in comparison to all of these. That's just sickening. Can you imagine going there after dark in this abandoned area with all these massive... I couldn't do it. Also, this is Abraham Lincoln. If you know, you know. Like jail. Did someone do this on purpose, or was it a weird coincidence? This is kind of cool with all the plants on it. Still terrifying though. I have megalophobia, which is fear of huge things, and then abandoned places mixed together. No, thank you.
Ain't good.
I think George Washington's about to square up. Does anyone know which president this is that's missing the jaw though? This is horrific. But yeah, here's another picture of it. Would you go here? Some of them are missing the top of their heads. They had their wigs snatched. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to go, but also I would be terrified I'd poop.
She found out that her husband was cheating on her, so she cut his private part off. In 2015, Feng Lung from China had found out that her husband was sending emails to another woman. Her husband, Fan, had used her phone to send these emails, but he forgot to log out of his account. Fan was asleep in their bed when this happened, and without thinking twice, Feng grabbed a pair of scissors, walked over to him, and cut his private part off, and it was completely detached from his body. Fan was rushed to the hospital, and doctors were successfully able to reattach it and treat his injuries. Feng was unhappy that the doctors were able to do this, so she snuck into the surgery center and attacked her husband again. She did the same exact thing to Fan, but this time she threw it out the window. There was blood pouring from Fan's groin area, but he still went outside to go look for it. As he was running outside, Feng ran after him to try and attack him again, but that's when he punched her in the face. Hospital staff were able to separate the two, and Fan was treated for his new injuries. Unfortunately for Fan, doctors nor police were able to locate his private part. Feng ended up being arrested and charged with grievous bodily harm.
AI can now officially read your dreams. When you look at anything like this grass field, your brain's neural pathways form a specific pattern, sort of like a heat map. And every possible thing you look at or can even imagine has its own unique pattern. When you dream, your brain behaves much the same way, forming brain frequency patterns based on what you're dreaming about. Well, Asa Raskin from the Center for Humane Technology announced that they've done some tests, and what they discovered is impressive but incredibly alarming. They put a test subject inside an fMRI machine, which can read brain activity, and had them look at an image, in this case an image of a giraffe, and the machine mapped out their brainwave pattern. They then hid the image and fed only the brain map data to an AI image generator, probably a little more advanced than Midjourney. An AI that has never seen the original image of the giraffe, nor had access to an internet database that stored the original image either. It then generated, strictly based on the fMRI brain map data, what it determined that the person was looking at, and this is what it produced. Not exactly the same image, but I don't think you understand what it means that AI can now turn this into that with this level of accuracy. And we're still quite early in this technology, so it's only getting better from here. Then they took it a step further. They showed the test subject in the fMRI machine a video, and on top of generating what the subject is seeing, they also wanted to find out if the AI can read your inner monologue, the words you think to yourself in your own mind that no one else knows about. The test subject watched this video and was told to narrate what was going on in the video inside their own head. Here, let's do it together. You ready? Did you get all that? Now again, given only the subject's brain activity heat map, this is what the AI determined the person was thinking. I see a girl that looks just like me get hit on the back, and then she is knocked off. Probably a bit different than what you thought, but this is literally AI reading our minds, and all it takes is someone's fMRI brain scan data. Our thoughts and dreams can now be leaked to the world. Give it a few more years and this technology will get near perfect. And sure, fMRI machines may look like this today, big, clunky, and all around you, but that technology is also going to improve. What if we have fMRI Apple Vision Pro goggles 10, 20 years from now? You'd be able to see and read what someone is thinking or even dreaming by just looking at them.
That's crazy, man. AI getting to the point where it can read our brains. It can translate the dreams. That's taking that a step too far, man. That's giving it way too much access. But you know it's not gonna stop, man, because those AI contracts be coming in, man. It's all about the money, so. But that's a scary thought, man. my opinion, we need to slow it down just a lot. Not a little bit, just a lot, bro. Kind of set up some safeguards. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys comment down below. Hit that thumbs up button, man. Also, don't forget to hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next videos. You guys gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.